Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews, and today we're going to be getting into a 1985 film called Creature, which gets a 4.39 rated by William Malone, who would go on to make House on Haunted Hill, the remake. He'd also make Fear.com. I seen Fear.com years ago, but I don't really remember it too well. And I did see the House on Haunted Hill remake, and I remember liking it pretty good. But Creature is a film that, to be honest, kind of surprised me. This movie kind of surprised me, being the fact that it is among that list of Alien ripoffs, because it's a very similar plot. The creature design is heavily inspired by the Xenomorph design. Certain key things happen, like in Alien. Even the look of the movie kind of has this sci-fi horror look that Alien did. I'll touch on that a little bit more later too, because it does have its own unique look. But this movie really surprised me. Now, I don't really care if it's a rip-off of Alien. I think it's still a decently done horror film. This is definitely a pretty decent horror film. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a classic or a masterpiece, but I did enjoy this movie quite a bit. I think it's a pretty decent little horror film. Now, the story, like Alien, you have these guys at the beginning of the movie in spacesuits. They go to this area where they find these alien cocoons. And it's almost exactly like Alien. They go in this place, they find these alien cocoons, and a lot of them have hatched except for one. And if you thought the guy in Alien was being stupid, the guys in this movie will make that look like a genius move. Because even when you watch Alien, you really can't blame, I believe the character's name is Kane, you really can't blame the Kane character for looking into the egg and trying to figure out what it is, because even you're wondering what this thing is. You know, it looks like an egg, but it's really fleshy. Like, what is this thing? Even you're wondering that. So in that movie, I can ignore it. It doesn't really bother me that much. In this movie, they literally sit on this giant cocoon thing, and this guy's like, grab a ruler so you can measure this thing, and sit on it, and we'll take a picture. And it's like, dude, you're just asking for something bad to happen. And of course, this creature breaks out. And it kills these guys. There is this thing called the Titan, which is a ship. And I believe this was also known for two other titles, because actually, when I watched this version of the film, it didn't say Creature in the opening title. It said something else. So I'm going to look that up real quick. Creature 1985 alternate titles. See, the version that I saw, even though this does say Creature, in the opening credits in the version I saw, it was called the Titan Find. But it's also known as just Titan Find. But the main title is Creature. And I like Creature. Very simple to... Even that, Creature. Alien. There's Creature. You know. You even have a very simplistic... Like, I swear Alien has done some of that, where it shows outer space and it says Alien. I swear I've seen a poster where it looks like that. It's been sleeping peacefully on a moon of Saturn for 2,000 centuries until now. Even that's like in space. No one can hear you scream. You know, it's like... But honestly, I think it's if it's a ripoff, it's pretty fun to watch it as if it's a ripoff, because you can look at certain things and go, hey, it's a really fun little thing that's like Alien. Like, it's kind of nostalgic in a way. It kind of homages Alien in a way, even though it's trying to really be like Alien. It doesn't do it in the wrong way. It feels like a very fun thing where you're just going, hey, that's like Alien. Hey, that's like Alien. Especially when you get to look at the creature, you're like, yeah, that's definitely heavily from Alien. But there's this Titan ship. They hear this distress signal, and they go to this, like it says on this, it says the moon of Saturn, and they go in this part of this planet, and They explore it. They find some blood, some dead bodies, and you find out that there is this creature there that can basically control people. And that's where it was different. It was like, alright, at least that's different. At least this thing doesn't have acid for blood. Like, at least they did that stuff. But basically, it kind of became the slasher movie. People get knocked off one by one. You got some pretty good gore effects in there. It's got a good look to it. I think it's filmed pretty well. And if I remember correctly, I remember Fear.com and House on Haunted Hill, the remake, looking pretty good too. So this director does have a really good visual look to his films. Kind of reminds me of Rennie Harlan or Stephen Hopkins. They have great looks to their movies. Or Marcus Nispel, in my opinion. But yeah, the movie, as far as positives go, you have some pretty good gore. This movie didn't even cost $1 million. It was like $700,000. Micro budget film. Very, very small budget. And a lot of the effects are very impressive. There's not really a shot where I said, oh, that effect looks horrible. Really, honestly, for being that low of a budget, you know, I want to see, because this one, as far as set design goes, looked pretty good. But even though I do love Return of the Living Dead Part 3, I do love that movie to death. That's one of those movies where you could tell the low budget showed. Like, the set design looked pretty cheap, but they couldn't help it. I mean, they didn't really have a budget with that movie. So I'm going to look that movie up real quick. And if it cost $1 million, then it didn't go to the set design. But this one really impressed me. It had a good blue tint to it. Very dark blue lighting. Everything's got shadows. I like how... Because in Alien, to me, some of my favorite scenes were the outside shots of them exploring the planet and going into the ship and finding the engineer body and finding the eggs. Those are some really good looking scenes. Here, it's like they flip-flopped it. They said, well, we'll spend about 20% on the ship and the rest of it's going to be on the planet. I kind of like that. I think that's a very creative thing they did. It's a kind of a swap. I like that because you get to explore this planet and it has a pretty cool looking set design. All practical sets. And I think it has a pretty good look to it. It says here about the budget was about $2 million. So yeah, Return of the Living Dead 3 cost $2 million. This wasn't even $1 million, and it had some really good looking sets. So that just goes to show that, you know, they used it pretty good because these sets look good. I mean, the spaceships look pretty cool. You have some old school vintage illusions of the spaceships and models and stuff like that. I really enjoyed. The effects weren't too bad. They really weren't. They were pretty impressive. The gore effects were pretty impressive too. The music I also liked. Had a cool, moody score to it. I wouldn't really say it's a very in-depth score. Like, there's not a theme song to the movie. But there's this really moody, atmospheric, droning score. I like that. I like this poster. I like the fact that the creature is practical. And when you see it, it does look pretty cool. I like the idea of when these people die, they can get controlled. And it puts these like parasite things on their necks. And it just kind of feeds off of them into their brain. And it can control them to do whatever it wants. I like that. I like how it's trying to be different. So positives, I think it's filmed pretty well. I think it's directed very well. The acting, I wouldn't say it's great, but it's not horrendous. There's a couple of parts where maybe the acting could be a little bit questionable, but I would say overall the acting is pretty passable and pretty decent. Especially from our leads. My favorite character is probably this really badass chick, who I thought was an awesome character, because this scumbag guy, this dude, comes in and tries to, grab up on her, and she just turns around and with a gun. Don't fuck with me. So I like that. I like how she's a strong character, gets to be one of the survivors. She's a badass character. Okay, that's cool. The lead guy who runs the ship did pretty good. His friend, who I like this little thing they did with this character where these two guys, one that kind of runs the mission and one guy who runs the ship in a way. I like how at first they're enemies, they don't like each other. And then by the end of the movie, they kind of built this friendship and they trust each other, and one of them ends up dying. It's a pretty good little arc moment for the characters. I mean, with a low-budget film like this, to have something like that, I really appreciate something like that, because a lot of films, no matter the budget, don't even try to do that stuff. But I like how it's a little arc right there, little story for the characters. It gives them something to remember them by. So yeah, the acting isn't anything monumental, but it's also not anything horrible. Decent acting. Although I will say the characters, like, I remember the characters in Alien. I'm not going to try and compare everything to Alien, but if I can just think of a sci-fi alien movie, like even Predator, you remember those characters. Alien, you remember those characters. In this movie, the characters are kind of like just slasher characters where they're just there for the body count. Again, the badass chick, the lead guy, the asshole guy, he did a good job playing an asshole character. So yeah, the creature effects look pretty good. The gore is pretty good. There's a lot of bloody scenes, gory scenes. I like certain creativity they have with the plot. As far as negatives go, it is a slow movie. The first 30 to 40 minutes is very slow. Trying to do a slow build. Trying to be a slow burn, but it is a bit of a slow movie. It does take a minute for things to get going. I will say that. Kind of slow. Again, the characters, they're not really anything great. There's not a lot of the creature in the movie, which is a shame because it looks pretty good. And I'm surprised they didn't try to use it more often. Like Jaws, it works because you have the characters, you have it being filmed well, directed well, great story. Jaws, and you still see POV shots and stuff like that. So the shark is there. For most of this movie, there's not even POV. Excuse me. There's not even POV shots. If I can just say it correctly and get it out before I cough. There's not even really any POV shots. There's no shots of the alien creature lurking anywhere or hiding, or you don't see it at all, to be honest, until the very end of the movie, and maybe the very beginning. But most of the movie is about these parasites on people and them kind of getting controlled. And in the very end of the movie, you finally get to see this creature, which does look a bit like the alien from, the xenomorph from Alien. Has the same look and design of the head, the way the structure looks. Like a more bulkier Godzilla-looking alien xenomorph thing. Like, it looks like Godzilla, xenomorph, bulky. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. And instead of having no eyes on its head, it has eyes right beside the head, the thing that goes back over the head. So I like the way it looks. I like how it's practical, but it is very heavily inspired from the Alien films. But yeah, this movie's decent. This movie's definitely not anything. I wouldn't say it's a groundbreaking horror film, but it's fun. It's a fun little sci-fi horror film. It was fun watching it and seeing all the Alien homages, or you could say rip-offs. It was fun seeing that the creature was practical. It was fun seeing the gore. You did have some. You had a badass character. This chick character was a badass. The lead guy was pretty decent. The atmosphere and lighting and sets, spaceships. I thought a lot of that was pretty well done for the budget. It looks pretty good for its budget. I also like these spacesuits better. These right here. I like those. I don't know if I would say I like them better than Alien, but I like how they look. They're designed pretty cool. And each one of them kind of has a name and a number, so they can tell who it is. But, yeah, this movie is definitely decent. I think Creature's decent. I know it has a remake, I believe, that came out in the 2000s. But I'll probably just check this one out. It's decent. Decent little sci-fi horror film. Yeah, you could say it's a rip-off of Alien, but I think it's done pretty well. So yeah. Creature. I'm going to give Creature a 6.5 out of 10. Definitely a pretty decent horror film. It doesn't really have a giant runtime, so you're not going to spend a whole lot of time watching it. It's decent. It's got some good gore. It's a fun little movie to watch. I didn't think it was bad at all. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review of Creature. If you've seen this film, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on it in the comments below. But anyways, thanks for watching. Explorer 4 is out. Have a good night.